Well, good morning. Good morning to everyone out in the hinterland, the great webbed highway. Welcome to the HearthKeepers of the Earth live today, 11 25 23. I'm still not keeping up with the dates very well, so please forgive me for that. I'm all wrapped up, you see. Yes, I know. No, I don't have a cold. I just feel cold. As old folks, we have that kind of thing going on. We start feeling cold, more sensitivity. Well, I'll turn up the heat. Well, I could turn on the heat, but it's not that cold. My attitude is, unless it's down to 30 degrees, I don't turn on the heat. I just don't do it. I just put on some more clothes or grab a warmy blanket and wrap up in it just because it's comfortable, how that is. Well, we're at one more day. I've been graced with one more day of life. One more day of life is very wonderful. Even when I feel not particularly good, everything hurts today. And I mean everything from my feet to my arms to my hands. Everything hurts. And yes, I took my prescribed medicine for it. Excuse me. It really didn't do anything for it, to tell you the truth. So I just kind of breathe and suffer through it until it's time for me to take the next, you know, dosage, which will be at 1:30 or 1 o'clock, somewhere around there. In any case, it's only 12:41, so it won't be anytime soon. Well, I had thanks. I had my in-laws visit me today, and they brought by some quiche. Good stuff too. Really good quiche, because they know I don't do turkey anymore. I can't even stand the smell of turkey. I just can't stand it. I think it's just too many years of eating turkey. And you're like, oh, turkey again? Oh, no, no, no. So they brought me quiche and some really tasty berry pie. And I sent them home with some pumpkin cupcakes made with walnuts. They're tasty. They're very good, actually. Now, we had a nice visit. That's my husband's daughter. It's his eldest, his daughter. She and her husband came by today, earlier on today for brunch, 10:30 or so this morning. And we had a nice talk. I asked her to take a file of mine, a PDF file, which is my old preparedness book, workbook, and turn it into a Word file because I'm going to have to rework the book since it's 2023 and many things have changed, especially certain sites that I had put down as resources in the book are no longer exist. They're not there anymore. So I need to take those out and replace them with something else. I'm going to be making the book a little bit shorter, a little bit less detailed, but it will be efficient and a helpful workbook to help people start practicing emergency lifestyle preparedness at home. I wrote the book way back in, excuse me, 19. No, it wasn't then. 2006, I think. I think it was 2006 when I wrote the book, the workbook. It took me about 6 months to write it, but I enjoyed doing it. I did enjoy doing it. I include all of our skills, as many of our skills as we could in the book, and our knowledge and how we managed to survive pretty adverse effects of things in our lives. My husband and I at the time, and my past life. So the question was, the book is called "Save Your Butt: Preparedness for Those Who Do Not Have a Clue." That's the name of the book. And the first chapter is about an experience I had in West Virginia that taught me a really valuable lesson about discourse between human beings who have diverse and varying opposite attitudes about one another. Yes, I know, you're going to say it. Oh, she's going to play the race card. Well, it is about race because that's what it was about at the time. It was 1987. I was married to a man from West Virginia, not from, but in West Virginia. And I had met him there because I had arrived late at the old rainbow gathering, and a couple of girls had been murdered who were not from there. And so the rainbow gathering was splitting up in disarray. And normally I'm in the security part of the rainbow gathering called Shantasina. Well, I got there late. I hitchhiked in late. I was very disturbed by the murder. It really bothered me. And I started asking questions around about these people, the two young women who were murdered. And based on what I was told, I knew that the person that murdered them, number one, absolutely was not local. Although he lived local, he was not a local. Local, local. He wasn't. He lived there. A lot of us lived there who were not from there. And so our habits were a little bit different. But you could always tell a local, even by the food, that they ate. You could tell if they were local or not. So I met this man and fell in with him, partly for protection. Ended up getting married to him. Well, before I got married to him, after I got married to him, there's a lot of adventures between now and this story. But I'm not going to, excuse me, get into that story and those stories right now. In West Virginia, there was always a lot to do. You had to get food put in, get your garden harvested, your canning done. You had to get, if you were smart, you have all your wood put up and split and stacked, before September, if you're smart. So you spend most of the summer, at least the major part of the summer, getting ready for winter. Now, I had already had, my wood was split for the winter. I did my own wood. My husband was worked in the Gulf on a ship that transported oil from the rigs to place where they process it into gasoline. So he'd be on this big old rig, a tanker that carried the oil from one place to the other. And he'd be gone a month at a time. So left me alone to do what needed to be done. And so I would spend most of the summer getting my wood in. 3 days a week, I'd go out and fill up my truck, bring it home, take a little break, get out there and split it up, stack it, and I even measured it just to make sure. I usually burned about 3 1/4 cords of wood because it's cold anywhere in West Virginia. It's no joke. It's beautiful, but it's no joke. So I had my wood put up. And oh, I got to tell you, I had the most beautiful 18-inch steel, STIHL, chainsaw you ever saw. That thing cut like butter. Like butter. Yeah, I love that thing. I'd pull that, I'd pull that cord and that engine got going. Woo! Nothing like sawing through wood and chopping it, and putting it up there and you know, getting it home. There's nothing like it. A wood stove is a wood stove is a wood stove. I'll tell you something. A good wood stove, it's nothing like it. It creates an ambience, a feeling of security that um, air ducts cannot do. It's a different type of heat. It's radiant heat, and it actually warms the environment. Um, Not like here, if I turn on the heat, it feels like cold air to me. It doesn't feel like heat until I walk outside. And if it's colder, then I know it's actually heated up inside the house. So anyway, I lived up on a hill on the back roads, back hills outside of town in a house. And I could see everybody from where I lived. I could see all my neighbors, even down into the hollows. That was one deep hollow in front of me. A hollow is a just a deep depression, like almost like a mini canyon, you know, that the foot at the bottom of the foothill, let's say, of a mountain. In any case, um, I remembered going out and sitting out like normal. I would do this normally. It's my thing. Make my coffee on my wood cook stove and start the main stove in the living room. So I had my coffee. Take my coffee over. I felt kind of like this actually, only thicker. And I go sit down on my chair out front and watch the fog lift out of the hollows and off the ground. I call it off the ground because the clouds would sit, the fog would sit way low. So you could barely see the trees or the houses, almost the road. And you sit there long enough with your coffee, you could see it rise, and more is revealed, and rise, and more landscape is revealed. It was beautiful to watch. I would sit and drink my coffee and plan my day and watch the fog rise as the sun came up. Well, I guess there was one day I wasn't out there. Now, I had neighbors about, 10 acres away on either side of me. Uh, you could see their houses, you could see their gardens, you could see their chicken sheds, etc. The same at my house. I was up on the hill, but they could see me. And they always saw me outside. I was either in the garden or tending to my machinery or, cleaning up something outside or making something or getting ready to go do a job somewhere. But I guess they didn't see me for a few days. And some of the women got together, and these same women were the same women who would come over to my house and help me with, huge batches of canning. And I would go over their house and help them with canning or taking care of a loved one because somebody got sick and they needed a little help with, dealing with that or the children or, doing the buttering or putting the maple syrup by, or, getting the syrup ready. Either way, we always helping each other. And there was about 5 or 6 of women, other than myself, who would get together and help each other do certain chores that needed to be done. And we trade certain vegetables between us because, well, some people could grow certain things pretty well and some people couldn't. Not everybody grew all the same thing and did it all well. Um, I always grew really good potatoes and good beets. And my corn was okay, but my potatoes and my beets were the ones that people really liked. So I would trade for corn and butter and so forth and so on. Well, I guess 3 days went by and these women did not see me outside. They tried to call me. And we had what was called a party line. Now, that's a landline where 3 or 4 or 5 people are on the same phone. So if you pick up the phone, you have to wait for them to finish talking before you could call out or somebody could call in. And I didn't mind that. That was fine with me. I thought that was very convenient myself. Anyway, I guess they tried to call me, couldn't get me. They saw both my cars at home. And it started to bother them. Now, in West Virginia at that time, I never locked my doors. I didn't know of anybody that did. Everybody had a gun. Was nobody gonna come up in there and hurt anything? So I didn't lock my door. And I guess now I went by what I was told later and wrote it down. But I guess some of the ladies, a couple of ladies, come by the house and walked in, and I was out. I was passed out on the floor, laying in my own excrement and pee, and house was freezing cold, and I was sick. I was sweating and carrying on. So I guess they called 3 other ladies who came in and they got me all showered and dressed and put in the bed. I was like 145, 150 pounds, and I wasn't this heavy. And so those 5 women made it a point, just those 5 women, they decided they were going to take care of me because they depended on me for certain things, and I depended on them. An interdependency, not a complete dependency or codependency, but an interdependency had developed over the years. And so these 5 women took care of me, I think, for close to 2 weeks or more. I think 2 weeks it was. Round the clock, 24/7. They took turns away from their families, even coming to stay at night. Someone would send them in folk to come and make sure the fires were constantly filled up so that the house didn't get cold. And, they took care of me. They fed me, clothed me, bathed me, you know, took me in and out of bed, changed my linen, dealt with anything that needed done around the house. Not much by then because almost all my canning was done by then. All my drying was done. All I had was the rabbits that needed to be fed and the wood that needed to be brought in, for the wood stoves. I had all my food put by already, so I had plenty. In any case, those women took care of me for all that time. And when I finally come to my senses, I was in the living room near the wood stove. I made one of those, my ex-husband had made one of those double steel drum wood stoves. And we decided we'd go with that because that sucker heat the whole house, And there's only a wall separating it from my wood cook stove in the kitchen, which is fine. So the house could be completely heated. We threw some fans up near the ceiling that and shuttled the air to the rooms in the back. And it was a good system. I think we did a good job. In any case, they came in and took care of me. And I'm sitting there finally when I came to my sentence with sitting in a chair with some sassafras tea. Oh, what I would give for some sassafras tea. I love sassafras. It has I can't even explain to you what it tastes like. If you never had sassafras, as far as the soda is concerned, you're missing out. But anyway, I had a hot cup of sassafras tea in front of me. And all these women were there at the house. And they were talking, say, yeah, you're looking pretty good. Well, you're all right. You'll be all right now. And they were telling me, what happened and how they found me and everything. They told me all about that. And so I mean, being who I am, I said, I already know that y'all don't really like me that much because I'm a Black person. And a couple of women stood and waited for me to say what I had to say. And I asked them, I said, I don't understand why it is you're willing to help me. And yet you don't like Black folks, because there weren't many Black folks where I was in West Virginia. And yes, I'm protecting the name and the location, but to protect the people there from being hassled or anything. But it was in the middle of, let's say it's in the middle of West Virginia. And she says to me a very important thing, which pretty much changed the way I saw the world and my relationship to it, and how I would have to deal with people in the future. Because in the present, this was how I was dealing with them. I knew that they didn't like my color. I knew they didn't like that I was married to a white guy. But we still always had really good working relationships. We were always helping each other do something. There wasn't anything, and there was no week that went by that somebody wasn't helping somebody, helping take care of the kids, taking somebody somewhere, delivering some manure. There was always something going on, and I was always getting a call, and I was calling somebody to help me. And they come, no questions asked. And she said, look, here's the thing. You don't have to like somebody to be a good neighbor. They don't even have to be your friend. But you have shown yourself, they said, and I'm quoting this, to be trustworthy, hardworking, willing to learn, and willing to put your hand to the wheel when asked, without any recompense. They didn't use the word recompense. She said, without getting anything back. I call it recompense. She says, I don't have to like the fact that you're Black. She says, I just don't like Black folks. But you've earned the right to be treated the way we treat you. You've earned it. We've watched you for years. We've called on you for help for years, and you always came. If you called on us for something, we came. If we needed help with something, when we would call on you, you'd come. There wasn't a time that you didn't. If you wanted to learn something, you were right there doing it, learning it. Everything from churning butter to milk and cows to ramping and going ginsenging or singing as they called it, not ginsenging. I call it ginsenging. They call it singing. And ramping they have these things called ramps. They were greens. And at a certain time of year, you go looking for these ramps. It was good eating too, by the way. They're a type of green that only grows at a certain time of year that you go get ramps. And so whatever was needed, it got taken care of by myself and or the other women helping. And she says, we know who you are. And that's all that's necessary. And because of that, we're going to treat you accordingly. We're going to treat you just like a good neighbor should be treated, with respect. As long as we are continuing to be helped by you and you need us to help you, that's the relationship we have, and that's the way it will be. You needed us. Nobody else was there for you. So you needed us, and we did what we needed to do, because we also need you. And that's all you have to understand about that. And with that, she put on her coat, said, you feeling better? And I said, yes, ma'am. She says, well, got plenty of sassafras tea on. got some soup, eat it all, and we'll be seeing you in another week or so. And that was that. They were gone out the door. And it left me wondering, why I hadn't learned this lesson beforehand? Because I traveled quite a bit, but I wasn't supposed to learn that lesson yet. Obviously, I was supposed to learn the lesson at that point in time when I was at my weakest, my lowest. It was a very important lesson for me about how to deal with people. I don't have to like you in order to help you. That's not necessary. My humanity does not lie in where I like you or dislike you. My humanity lays where I can see that you need help and I have the ability to help you and you want the help. I have the ability to give you the help, regardless of your station in life. And it has nothing to do with your color, whether you're rich, you're poor, you're male, female, whatever you want to call yourself. As long as the reciprocity is there, there is an unshakable dignity and respect that takes place. And it continues on as the time goes by. So that's one of the first chapters in my workbook called Save Your Butt and Preparedness for Those Who Don't Have a Clue. Now, there's a lot more in that booklet, and I'm going to be finishing that booklet, redoing it, of course, rewriting it a little bit. It's on my bucket list. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. I'm going to be rewriting this booklet, this workbook, but I'm also going to make a bucket list for myself. I woke up this morning feeling particularly vulnerable and physically unfit today. I know that I've done as much as I could so far for myself, and that doctors really don't care that much. I mean, I'm old enough where my life isn't worth anything to them anymore. I'm supposed to get a job, and that's been delayed. I'm not even sure these people are on the up and up, but we'll see. I doubt that they are. They claim that it'll take them 2 more weeks to get a background check on me, which is bogus in itself because you can do a background check in anywhere from 48 hours to 3 days. Okay. So I don't get where they're coming from on that one, except that there's some other bogus something going on, that they may not really want to hire me, even though they've given me every indication that they're going to by giving me timesheets and so forth. That they may be trying to find a way not to hire me, which it's fine. That's not, I'm used to it. I'm used to this happening to me all the time. That's why I've always been self-employed, because I don't like to be at the mercy of an employer, period. I never did like that idea. Didn't like the office politics. I just didn't like the idea of being at the mercy of an employer, period. So we'll see how that comes about. But I'm going to make a bucket list. Probably won't be a long one. And see if I can get my bucket list finished by this time next year. Because I don't think my health is getting better. I'm pretty sure it doesn't feel like it's getting better. I think it's getting worse. And so I need to get these things done now. There are things I need to. I want to go see my baby girl in Alaska. I have some of my mother's family living in Tennessee. And they want to see me because I used to babysit all the cousins. Now their children, they have children, and their children have children. So I've got quite a few cousins back there I've never even met, you know. And so I have a place to stay and everything. It's just I got to get there, be able to get back home. And I don't know if I can fly or not. I know I can't go on a bus. That kind of sitting would kill me because I got to get my feet up because of lymphedema. So I'd have to fly first class because my butt's too wide for economy. And yeah, I would buy a second seat if I had to, but I might as well just go ahead and do first class because the seats are plenty wide and you don't have to be squeezed in there like sardines. And so we'll put that on the bucket list along with a few other things. And I'm going to start clearing out the house, start getting rid of stuff, selling it, giving it away, whatever comes first. And in any case, I'm hanging in there, doing what I need to do on a moment to moment basis. I hope you are too. I hope you're doing all right. I hope you're hanging in there and being grateful for another day of life. I'm grateful for another day of life, regardless of how awful I might feel that day. I'm still grateful that I woke up. I just woke up, got up. So thank you so much for listening to me go on tonight, or rather this morning. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day and a wonderful weekend coming up. And to take care and be kind to yourself and be kind to somebody else today, this week, tomorrow, whenever you find a chance. Be kind to someone. Have a kind word for them, a smile, because you never know how much it changes their lives. Take care and bless you until the next recording. Until when? Good day.